It's Friday, November 17. In the headlines, tropical storm watch in effect for Jamaica. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is in Saudi Arabia for the inaugural Saudi Arabia CARICOM Summit. We also have highlights from the GIS Expo held this week. In business news, Jamaica's procurement process being digitized. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago's judiciary places cybersecurity on the agenda. Internationally, IBM suspends advertising on X. And in sports, Jamaican athlete faces a 30-month suspension. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. A tropical storm watch remains in effect for Jamaica as heavy rainfall continues to affect sections of all parishes. The Meteorological Service of Jamaica says in a bulletin that this means tropical storm conditions continue to pose a possible threat to Jamaica. A flash flood warning is also in effect for low-lying and flood-prone areas of southern and eastern parishes, including Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, Portland, and St. Mary. A flash flood watch remains for other low-lying and flood-prone areas of the island. At 7 a.m., potential tropical cyclone number 22 was about 295 kilometers southwest of Nigger Point, or 325 kilometers west-southwest of Kingston, Jamaica. Several residents have been marooned in the Hordley Crossing area of St. Thomas since Thursday. This is a result of the heavy rain lashing the island because of a system which is expected to pass over Jamaica between Friday and Saturday. It's a similar situation in Retreat, where the road has been damaged by flood waters. The police and other emergency personnel have been seeking assistance and doing their best to help the marooned residents. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is now in Saudi Arabia at the invitation of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud. He is one of several CARICOM heads who are participating in the inaugural CARICOM Saudi Arabia Summit in the capital city of Riyadh. He says in an Instagram post that, quote, Jamaica continues to pursue investment and partnership opportunities for our national development and looks forward to robust discussions with Saudi Arabia for our mutual benefit, end quote. The summit opened on Thursday, and it is aimed at fortifying partnerships and opening new avenues for collaboration between the largest country in the Arabian Peninsula and the Caribbean. Jamaicans aspiring to work within the country's civil service now have a chance to do so through the Jamaica House Fellowship Program. Applications are now open. The program, which is spearheaded by the Office of the Prime Minister, provides an opportunity for Jamaicans to support and implement high-priority initiatives in the public sector. Principal Director in the Office of the Prime Minister, Melissa Haynes, says successful applicants will be engaged on a full-time contractual basis to serve for 2 years in various areas of the public service, such as the Office of the Cabinet and senior officials within the OPM, as well as other ministries, departments, and agencies.
The Prime Minister has articulated that the vision of the government within the context of the Jamaica House Fellowship Program is that Jamaica will be at its best when its most trained, talented graduates see a career in public service as among their highest possible ambitions. The government is therefore interested in creating entrepreneurs, bringing with them a different perspective and outlook, but at the same time being engaged in a process that will ensure that they develop, more than anything else, respect for the public service.
Principal Director in the OPM, Melissa Haynes, said applicants are expected to possess skills and competencies that include knowledge of Government of Jamaica priorities, policies and programs, and Vision 2030.
The Jamaica House Fellowship Program creates a pathway that will see young, vibrant, and bright talent coming into the public service to create the different thinking and mindset in the next generation of public servants who will emerge.
Eligible persons may be Jamaican citizens possessing an undergraduate degree and be between the ages of 18 and 35 at the time of submitting their applications. The deadline for submissions is December 27, 2023. For information on how to apply, interested persons are invited to send an email to Ms. Haynes at melissa.haynes@opm.gov.jm or Mrs. Hemmings Allison at sharika.allison@opm.gov.jm. Hundreds of students from schools across the island turned out for the annual Geographic Information System, GIS, Expo at the University of the West Indies Mona campus on Wednesday. The expo forms part of activities for Geography Awareness Week under the theme Geospatial Technologies, Enabling the Digital Society, aimed at promoting geography in its various disciplines. We caught up with Vice President of Spatial Innovation Limited, Matthew Webster. He explained that they provide geospatial services in Jamaica and 15 other regional countries specializing in location technology.
So we use the best-in-class GIS technology, that is the ARC GIS technology, and that is provided by Esri, so we're their distributor. They're the Environmental Systems Research Institute. We provide their technology for anybody in the Caribbean, so we're the exclusive distributors for the English-speaking Caribbean. Additionally, one of the sponsors that are here is Trimble. We're actually the territorial Jamaica distributors for Trimble. So we provide large-scale scanners, we provide high-speed guns, provide data collectors. So a lot of the Trimble hardware technology we also provide for data correction. The virtual reference system, which is controlled by the NLA, is also a piece of Trimble equipment, which would have been brokered by us as well.
Wow. So you're part of this expo. Do you think the expo is a good idea? Do you think it's something that is benefiting the country?
Definitely. So I had the opportunity to do a few interviews earlier, and we spoke to some students, and they're excited about the idea of coming out of the classroom. This is an annual activity, actually. This is the second time since the pandemic it's come back physical. Last year it had been first, and I know they did virtual before, but it's definitely a good way to expose the power of location technology, the power of geography, which a lot of students may not know why they're studying geography in school. By coming to this GIS symposium, it does give them the ability to understand all of the use cases of how the power of technology is utilized. They would be able to engage with NLA, the Jamaica Defense Force, the Planning Institute of Jamaica, UDC, National Works Agency. So there are many agencies here that show how they utilize the technology, NWC and the WRA. A lot of institutions showing how the utilization of location technology is benefiting them, and it gives them their own ideas as to how they can utilize it. Something as simple as Google Maps, which you may also use, is GIS technology. So it's ubiquitous against how it can be used against a lot of sectors and industries.
Just about 16 organizations were on display at the expo, sharing information with students from as far as St. James. Representatives from Jamaica Defense Force made a show of how they use geographic spatial data. They also had a booth too, where students could ask all the questions they had about the various units in the JDF. Spatial analyst from the Forestry Department, Sachel Bennett, shared a short list of career paths youngsters can take utilizing geographic information system technology.
You can be a GIS analyst, a spatial analyst, a GIS technician, GIS database management.
Her booth showcased how the department uses GIS to manage and conserve Jamaica's forest.
So right here we're showing you the drones that we use to map our forests, and from there we can collect, we can know the type of species that exist in the forest. We can also tell you the volume of trees, the type of lumber that's also in our forest. So we have our drones. We also what I've been showing persons how we collect data using our phones. So we use our GIS field maps. That's what our field officers use to collect data. For example, the forest rangers, if there is any illegal activity, they can use their phone and they can go into the field, collect that data. And our GIS unit is the one that will download this data, present the data on a map, and those maps are used for various activities, such as it's used as a legal document, because sometimes you have to take that map into the court as evidence of illegal activities taking place. We also use it for reports, and we also use it to show work that was completed by our contractors.
Our next stop was the well-coordinated team from the National Land Agency. Senior GIS analyst Nathalie Ennis-Palmer was their speaker.
Explain how GIS fits into the mandate of the National Land Agency.
Okay, so today's topic, geospatial technologies enabling the digital economy. We have one of the largest databases in the island, or probably the largest. You know, we have data sets ranging from the street center line, contours, other digital features. But of particular importance is the database of the land parcels.
She explains that this is particularly important in agriculture and transportation.
We have a digital database of over 900,000 parcels across the island, not just the spatial component, but also attributes that goes along with it, that in terms of the valuation number, the ownership, volume and folio, which represents the ownership, in addition to other features. What I can tell you about this as well is that these data sets, it sets a base for other industries in enabling this digital economy. A database, a baseline in terms of agriculture, you need to know where land is.
Geographic information systems are also used by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. Raylan Ricketts explains.
This is an actual enumeration district that was mapped, as you can see, with the purple line showing the exact boundary around the enumeration district. Now, an enumeration district is the smallest geographical area in which data is collected, and this is what we do at Statin in terms of data collection.
The students and members of the general public participated in masonry, a treasure hunt, a fashion show, as well as jingle, essay, poster competitions, and more. Time now for the extended business report with Danita Rodney.
Welcome to the Extended Business Report. I'm Danita Rodney. In this week's report, Jamaica's procurement process is being digitized. The process, which is spearheaded by the Public Procurement Commission, PBC, aims to reduce approval time and create efficiency. Jamaica's public procurement process is being digitized. The process is being spearheaded by the Public Procurement Commission of Jamaica. This process aims to reduce approval time and create efficiency. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark, while speaking at the launch of the Contractor and Consultants Performance Evaluation Program, explains how the new online platform will improve the registration of suppliers.
In the old manual system with paper, it would take you 60 days to be approved as a supplier to the government. Today, with the online system, that time has been reduced to 2 weeks, which is a major improvement.
Minister Clark says the change in procurement modality will allow for transparency and accountability.
But that's not going to be possible for much longer because the procurement modality, the procurement institution is moving online to an electronic format which provides an audit trail. You can tell when the procurement submission came in and you can tell when the procurement submission was approved. And I'm here to tell you that it used to be 8 weeks and it is now down to 2 weeks, and it can be demonstrated.
For efficiency, the Finance Minister encouraged ministries and agencies to do their part.
What we're going to need is for ministry departments and agencies to get their act together when it comes to the procurement process so that they can do their part in ensuring that we have efficiency.
Real estate stakeholders are urging the government to hold consultations as it explores implementing regulations for short-stay accommodations. Speaking at the ThropX Investment Conference in Negril, realtor Noel Phillips says he's not opposed to regulation in the space as it would allow for clear investment opportunities.
As regards the regulation, the taxation, I don't have a problem with the government saying they want, standardize it, taxes are paid from the income. Also to have a central registration process where persons who are intending to go into Airbnb business, probably register with TPDCO. Once a developer is doing a development, you're building some condos or something like that, that it is clear from the get-go that this property allows for Airbnb, that the government knows, and therefore persons who are going into that business are clear that they're investing.
Realtor Associate at Remus Elite Realty, St. Albin Clark, added to Phillips' statement saying that the regulations would protect not only the owners but the industry.
I am not sure exactly what it would take because it takes some legal minds and all of that. But definitely, we would want to see regulations in place that protects the industry, protects the owners, and protects the persons who are staying in those properties.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, November 16, the US dollar sold for an average of $156.60. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.69. The pound sterling traded for $194.90, and the euro sold for $173.41. In GSE trading, the GSE index advanced by over 335 points. The junior market index declined by over 84 points. The combined market index declined by over 426 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by over 917 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 95 stocks, of which 41 advanced, 44 declined, and 10 traded firm. Stocks advanced for CAC 2000 Limited, Caribbean Cement Company Limited, and Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, AS Bradden and Sons Holdings Limited, and Access Financial Services Limited. Trading firm were Epley Limited 7.25% preference shares, Jetcon Corporation Limited, and JMMB Group Limited 7.25%. The overall volume leaders were Carreras Limited with over 3 million units, Cygnus Real Estate Finance Limited USD, and Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with over 2 million units. In regional stocks in Trinidad and Tobago, the mutual fund market did not record any activity. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Epley Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund was the volume leader with over 30,000 shares. They were followed by Epley Caribbean Property Fund Development Fund and Goddard Enterprises Limited, which traded 1,315 shares respectively. In regional business, leaders in the Caribbean are being encouraged to foster a sense of risk-taking in their companies.
Speaking at the Disruptive Leadership Conference on Thursday, CEO of JMMB, Tricia Kissoon, pointed to an example of Henry Ford pushing to make the world's first horseless carriage. She said this meant innovating and going out of the ordinary after many failures, which depended on investors taking a risk.
So it's important that you are encouraging collaboration among your teams and individuals, respecting diverse background, skills, and expertise that can lead to fresh perspectives and novel ideas. Encouragement of risk-taking and learning from failures. We saw that. Why go through so much detail with you on Henry Ford? I wanted you all to see how many models he needed to get there, to get to the Model T.
This, she said, also allows a level of creativity to thrive in organizations.
Time is always never our friend in today's world, but it is your friend once you carve out space for creativity to exist. So it's important that you encourage a level of risk-taking and therefore learn from those, because learning is what will guide us forward. We have to have a philosophy of moving forward as opposed to not moving and waiting for perfection to occur.
The two-day Disruptive Leadership Conference is being held at the Hilton Hotel and Conference Center.
In international business, Wall Street managed to eke out tiny gains while the Dow ended slightly lower with pressure from tech and retail bellwethers, Cisco and Walmart after disappointing forecasts. In market data for oil prices edged higher on Friday, a day after sinking 5% to a 4-month low on growing worries about burgeoning non-OPEC supply and cooling demand. Brent futures rose 80 cents to $78.22 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude was at $73.66, up 76 cents. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney. Back to you, Simone.
In regional news, despite ongoing border disputes between Guyana and Venezuela, Executive Vice President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, has declared that nothing will obstruct Venezuelans from participating in the planned referendum, scheduled for December 3, 2023.
The International Court of Justice convened for the second round of sittings on Wednesday to hear arguments on the request for provisional measures submitted by Guyana concerning the 1899 Arbitral Award. Venezuela's agent, Her Excellency Delcy Rodriguez, Executive Vice President, during her submissions remained unyielding, stating that nothing will stop Venezuela's December 3 referendum. Rodriguez, through a translator, also argued that Guyana's request is unprecedented, describing the request as unacceptable and an attempt to revoke the Venezuelan constitution order to prevent consultative referendum.
Venezuela reaffirms its categorical rejection of Guyana's audacious action to interfere in its internal affairs. Nothing will prevent the referendum scheduled for the 3rd of December from being held.
She said Guyana's unilateral request came before the court in 2018 in open violation of the Geneva Agreement, with an outdated claim to validate a fraudulent arbitral award that purports to strip Venezuela of 15% of its territory.
Today, Guyana dares to distract this court once again in an attempt to prevent Venezuelans from exercising their sacred right to vote on an issue that is specific to them, internal, and of considerable importance, such as the dispute over the Essequibo. They will not succeed.
Furthermore, Rodriguez reminded that Venezuela has always respected the Geneva Agreement and international law, which is reflected in the 5 questions posed in the referendum, claiming that's what differentiates Venezuela from Guyana. She also said that the state will not neglect the population's decision come December 3.
The state of Venezuela will not turn its back on what the people decide during the referendum.
Guyana, in its application, asked the court to disallow Venezuela from proceeding with the consultative referendum in its present form, in particular, for Venezuela to exclude the 1st, 3rd, and 5th questions in the referendum, nor shall Venezuela include in the referendum or any other public referendum any question encroaching upon the legal issues to be determined by the court in its judgment on the merits. The court is expected to hand down its ruling on Guyana's request soon. Both parties will be adequately notified on the date of the ruling. Renata Burnett, reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
In Trinidad and Tobago, the judiciary, as a recent target of cyber attack, has placed cybersecurity on the agenda of the Chief Justices and Heads of Judiciaries Conference. The 2-day conference is presently being hosted in Trinidad and Tobago at the Hall of Justice.
Chief Justice Ivor Archie said that we cannot ignore the present global challenges, but must seek instead to reinvent ourselves if we are to remain competent and relevant.
This is the new reality, and hackers are always adapting. So must we. Judiciaries hold extremely sensitive information about and belonging to customers, litigants, and even jurors. What is best practice? What are the appropriate levels of encryption? These and other questions will be considered as we search for urgently needed solutions.
CJ explains why this conference is different from others that may contain similar topics.
But those who head judiciaries share a unique perspective that only comes from sitting in the chair. One of the advantages of our shared colonial legacy is that we have a similar understanding of the common law and its utility and adaptability in solving novel problems that confront us. We also operate in comparable constitutional ecosystems that recognize basic concepts.
Artificial intelligence and judicial independence are among the other topics to be discussed at the Chief Justices and Heads of Judiciaries Conference. The very timely and appropriate theme this year, moving beyond the familiar and creating a judiciary for the modern world.
In Barbados, there are concerns about the financing of education transformation process, parental involvement, and greater access for special needs children. Wendy Burke tells us more.
Several stakeholders in the education system presented their views on the proposed Education Transformation Initiative at the Dighton Griffith School. Among them, Paula Ann Moore. She believes parents are in such a state of confusion over the proposals, many will move their children from the public school system.
A number of us are not confident, and therefore you risk, if you do not truly engage parents, and that this is not more than a rubber stamping exercise, and the decision has already made that you're going to end up widening the chasm, as those with means will move on to private schools, and there'll be a proliferation of secondary private schools the same way that there is for primary schools, and you'll end up, unfortunately, damaging all the positives that makes Barbados a leader in education in the region.
Chief Education Officer Ramona Archer-Bradshaw says they will try for some accommodation.
I want to thank Ms. Moore for her comment, and I want to let her know that we heard her, and I reckon that I have recorded that your concern is that more consultation is needed with parents, especially from your group. So I have made a record. I will go back to the drawing board with my team at the Ministry of Education, and we will see how that will be accommodated.
Psychologist Lizanne Marvell is happy the proposals include playtime.
I'm really excited to hear about a pre-primary focus on play. I believe play is children's work, and that is how they develop a range of skills. That's how they develop how to think, how to speak, how to interact, and how to regulate. I'm really curious about how we do early identification at pre-primary level, so that by the time children are entering primary school, there's an indication if there's a difficulty or a difference.
In international news, IBM says it has pulled all advertising on Elon Musk's own X for now, after a report found its ads were placed next to pro-Nazi content. More in this report.
IBM on Thursday said it had pulled all advertising on Elon Musk's own X for now, after a report found its ads were placed next to content promoting Nazis. The report comes a day after Musk endorsed an anti-Semitic post on the social media platform that falsely claimed members of the Jewish community were stoking hatred against white people. The left-leaning media watchdog Media Matters said it found that corporate advertisements by IBM, Apple, Oracle, and Comcast's Xfinity were being placed alongside anti-Semitic content. In a statement, IBM said it has, quote, zero tolerance for hate speech and discrimination, and we have immediately suspended all advertising on X while we investigate this entirely unacceptable situation.
In sports, Olympic and World Championships 400 meters finalist Christopher Taylor is looking at a possible 30-month suspension by the Athletics Integrity Unity for an anti-doping rule violation dating back to late 2022. The suspension was backdated to November 2022, meaning that the Jamaican athlete has already served 12 months of his penalty. Taylor was deemed to have violated the World Anti-Doping Agency Anti-Doping Rule Article 2.3, which speaks to evading, refusing, or failing to submit to sample collection. That's it for the news on PBC Jamaica. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBC Jamaica. Thanks for watching.